Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 20 of the Girly Nerd Podcast. I am your host, Marianne, aka the Girly Nerd, and this is the podcast where we talk about all things pop culture, movies, TV, theme parks, music, all the fun things. Today, my guest is Mr. Webba. Thank you for being my guest today. Today, we're going to be talking about our favorite characters from the TV show Lost. Before we get into that, I want to give you a chance to give a shout out to your YouTube channel. So go ahead.
Of course. Well, Girly Nerd, thank you so much for having me on this video. I'm very excited and it's a pleasure. You can find me on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all the social medias, Mr. Webba at Webcast Citizen. That's my new handle right there. So Mr. Webba, Webcast Citizen.
Okay, everybody go check him out. So before we get into our list, just real fast, when I was coming up with all the topics that I wanted to cover, on my show, I thought, well, I love Lost. Lost is one of my favorite shows, and it's such a big ensemble show that I thought it'd be fun. Well, let's talk about our favorite characters.
Mm-hmm.
And a while back, we had talked about our mutual love for the show, so that's why I asked you to be on it. Now, was this a show that you watched when it first aired or after the fact?
I didn't. So yeah, good question. It wasn't a show that I watched when it first aired, but it was a show I watched maybe a little bit after. Because I kept hearing how good it was. Right, people are like, "Oh, The Lost, such a good show." And this is really when, like, really good TV shows were really coming out, and this is like one of
Yeah.
those ones where you got addicted to, "Oh, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?" Right? There was always something at the end of each episode. So I started watching it, especially when I heard about the kind of the premise of the show. I was like, "Okay, that's interesting. I like that kind of mystery thing going on with it, right?" And I watched it and I got hooked. I was like, "Oh, this is
Yeah.
interesting. What's going to happen now?" And I was like, "This is really cool. I'm digging this." So yeah, it wasn't right when it premiered, but it was a little bit after because I wasn't aware of the show until people kept talking about it. I was like, "Okay, yeah, let me check it out," and I got hooked.
And so you got caught up and then we're watching it live or
Um,
no?
no, it wasn't even live. So it was actually after the whole series
Oh,
was
okay.
already done. Yeah, so I went back, rewatched like everything, and I was like, wow, that was really cool. Yeah.
Okay. So you were a little bit at an advantage because, so for me, I watched it since it first aired.
Hmm.
I remember, I don't know what it was up against, but I had to have it recorded because I was watching something else. And then I watched the pilot. And then I'm like, ooh, this show is good, especially the pilot. The pilot's fantastic. It's one of the best pilots ever made. And then like I said, I don't remember what it was up against, but I started watching that one, Lost Live. Forget the other show. No recording. But yeah, I was hooked right away. I'm like, this is great. I love the characters. The mystery is
Hmm.
so intriguing. It's very addicting. And there's always ends with a cliffhanger where you go, what's going to happen next? But watching live instead of, like the way you watched was hard because you would have to wait a week. I mean, sometimes there was like, it was like a year in between one of the seasons, I think, because of the writer's strike. And
Hmm.
um, it's difficult. It was difficult, and it's the kind of show that, because there's so much going on, it's better to like binge it because there were things I forgot. And when I rewatched it, I think it was on Netflix. I rewatched the series. I'm like, I liked it even more because I remembered things better as I was watching it. So it was just a different experience. I still loved it, initially, but I liked it even more the second time around because I was able to grasp everything better and remember everything better, and it made it more meaningful. So, yeah, that was my experience.
Yeah, so absolutely, because I love the point you bring up about having to wait like a year or so between seasons. And we're seeing a lot of cases of that now in like modern television, which I
Yeah.
don't like. And a big one is like House of the Dragons. That takes forever to get, a new season. But I love when this like a new season comes out pretty much year after year because that way the memory you have hasn't faded so much. Now, of course, a new season is going to kind of give you like a recap of what happened before, which is always
Mhm.
nice. But when it's so long and you're like, okay, I have to go rewatch because I don't remember what happened,
Yeah,
you know. And
exactly.
yes, and so that's what's nice about having been able to binge watch the entire thing because okay, I remember what happened. Plus, you have a ton of characters in this show. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot, and there's a lot of different storylines to each character. It's like kind of jumping around from this person to that person, and it's all great. But you know, you can easily get lost, especially if you have to wait so long
Mhm.
for a new season.
Yeah, and when I rewatched it, I'm like, I don't remember this. I don't remember this. You know, there's so many characters and so much to their backstories and stuff.
Hmm.
So before we get into our list, I have a few honorable mentions. A couple of them are on your list, so I won't mention those. The few I just want to briefly talk about. One is Richard. I think he was a really interesting character because, well, one, for so long you didn't know what the heck was going on with him. It's like, he's like, he doesn't seem to age, and it's like,
Hmm.
is he immortal or something? And then when we finally got his backstory, that was so interesting. That was such a great episode. I think it's in the last season. That episode came out, and that was fascinating. And he's really great, the actor Nestor Carbonell. He has that look where it looks like he's wearing eyeliner, but it's just his
Yes.
eyelashes, so he has beautiful eyes. Yeah, he's a great character. Um, and then the other one is Ben. So a character like that is never going to be personally like a favorite because villains usually aren't like my favorite characters. But
Right.
he deserves some attention because he's like really interesting, compelling character and
Mhm.
fascinating and wonderful acting by Michael Emerson. Because he made you really hate him. You really hate him. And then I don't know about you, but start to feel some sympathy and understanding for him. Not completely, but by the end, you do feel more, yeah, more sympathy for him, especially in that what do they call it? Like the sideways world or something that in the
Oh
last,
yeah.
yeah, where you see this like life that like what could have been sort of life, and I feel like that's almost sort of like him going, this is how I should have been instead of how I
Mhm.
actually was. So that's how I took that. What do you think about those two characters?
Yes. So the the first character you mentioned, I didn't really have a lot of attachment to or really fond of, just personally. But
Mhm.
Ben, though, Ben was, you know, if I had an honorable mention, would be he would be one of them for sure. I think there is something always to be said when because usually, right, if you are like really disgusted or don't like a villain of a character, I think that really says something about the writing of the show and
Mhm.
the actor who's playing him because now your emotions are involved with this character. You're like, no, I really don't like this guy. He's a piece of you know what, you know. And I think that really makes for a good villain. And so in that by that regard, he's a great character for the show. And you're right. You know, you do see that kind of side where it's like, okay, I kind of understand where he's coming from. You know, seeing his
Mhm.
backstory and whatnot. Now, does that justify whatever the stuff he's been doing? No, it doesn't. But it is sad. However, it still makes for a good villain of the show, and I like that because sometimes you'll get a villain and they're just annoying, or they're like, "This is a
Yeah.
sucky villain." Like, there's no point, and so you're not invested like with Ben. You're invested with him as the villain
Mhm.
because of how he is, or who he is. So no, he's great for sure. That's a good pick.
And I recently watched there's a documentary about Lost. I think it's like 2 years old or something.
Oh,
Um
really?
yeah, I watched it the other night. It's called Getting Lost. It was on free on Tubi, so you could watch it. It was really good, and they had a lot of the actors from the show on it, and including him. And I didn't know this. So initially, he wasn't going to be as big a character as he ended up being. but because he was so good, they decided to make him like a full-blown like regular character because he was doing such a good job. And the scene that really sold them was, if you remember, when they're down in the hatch and they kidnapped him and they brought him out and he was eating cereal, or he's like, "You guys got any milk?" And just the way he said that line, and they're like, "Oh, this is something special. This guy's great." So they decided to make him a regular. So it's just a credit to his acting that they decided to do that. And I appreciate when creators recognize the potential in someone and go against maybe what they initially planned. I think that's great.
Yes, I agree because sometimes they can fall into this trap where you're kind of just going by the status quo of things, right? And then you can find this for a, you know, lack of a better term, diamond in the rough here,
Yeah.
with him, and like, okay, we didn't think he would be as big or good that he was going to be, and he was not going to be utilized as such, but hey, he surprised us. So let's use him. We love this. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So as far as our list, we have the same person at number 10. It's Sun. So what are your thoughts on her character?
So yeah, so for me, my list, like I said, it's been a while since I've seen the show, so I don't have any particular order, but all the characters I have, I really like. I probably could have them in some order, but yeah, Sun is great. And so before I go into each character individually, I just want to say what I really loved about the show and the characters, especially how they did this, was every one of them were different. They each had their own backstory, their own problems, their own personalities, and I love that because at the end of the day, you know, you can say that people are a byproduct of their environment and, or at least some of that and how they grew up. A lot of these people that we saw, at least from what I remember, were deep down in the end good people. They just got kind of caught up in certain environments or situations. Life happens. And so what I loved was that we got to see this with everybody.
Yeah.
And Sun, she was just a really good girl. She was a really good wife, and I thought she was super sweet. She was always one of the ones who were really caring for the team. Yeah, again, she was great girl, great character, and I just really liked from what I remember of seeing her on Lost.
Yeah, I love Sun. I love that relationship between her and Jin. It's probably the best romantic relationship, or my favorite on the show. So beautiful and powerful. I love like the arc she goes through. It's interesting at the beginning, they are very tense, and because she was going to leave him because he changed after he started working for her father. And
That's right. I forgot about that. Yes.
yeah. So I haven't seen the show in a while, but I do watch YouTube reactors watching the show. So I have it's like one of the best shows to watch, that of seeing people's reactions, because it's such a twisty kind of show. So I'm pretty familiar with the show thanks to that, because I haven't watched it, but I had her a little bit lower because she had an affair, which I didn't like. I never like that in shows, but
yeah.
But Jen had gotten really horrible, so you can understand maybe why she was seeking comfort in someone else. But on the show, on the island, and then she was very caring. She knew how to do like medicinal things, and it would help people. She had her little garden.
Yep.
And yeah, when her and Jin die, I mean, I was bawling. I mean, that was one of the saddest parts of the whole show. Because she's saying, "Just leave me," and he's like, "I won't." And and I love the moment in I'm gonna just call it the sideways world, like the flash sideways world. All the moments when all the characters remember who they are and what they experienced were always very moving and made me cry. So they remember when she's having her sonogram, and that's when they remember everything. And she's like, well, did you see everything? And he's like, yeah. And it's so sweet, and yeah, gave me all the feels.
Yes, and I will say this show did a lot of that. This show did a really good
Yeah.
job, again, with their characters, making you feel for them, the lives that they had before the island, and that's why I love when something about this island when they came here, they were forced to work together, to
Hmm.
collaborate, to care for one another, to survive, and you really got this more a humanity essence out of all of them, which is why I said before, like, I think deep down all of them were at their core good people, but again,
Hmm.
in the environment they had it back in their regular lives,
Yeah.
like Jin, right? You are kind of a byproduct of that, but now when
Hmm.
you're on the island, really, I think the deep down of their humanity, of the good comes out, and that's who they
Yeah.
really are. At least that's how I interpret that as.
Oh, I 100% agree with that for sure. Everyone was sort of like lost souls, so
Hmm.
lost has like a double meaning. They're not just lost because they're on an island, where no one can find them. They themselves were lost and needed each other. And
Hmm.
and
Yes,
yeah.
I agree.
So we both have the same number 9 as well.
Ah,
And it's John Locke.
John Locke, yes.
John Locke. A lot of people probably have him higher. Like I said, it's kind of an arbitrary ordering. I like them all. I
Yeah,
mean, I
same
guess
here.
my top ones, or maybe I like them more, but Locke is such a captivating, fascinating character, and you feel so much for him. He had one of the saddest saddest backstories when you see what happened to him with his father, um, like tricking him and stealing his kidney, and then he finds him again and he pushes him out the window, and that's why he's paralyzed. I mean, just
Yeah.
horrific. I mean, his father is probably, I would say he's probably the most evil character on that show. I
Mhm.
would say he was the most evil of everyone because of everything he did. He didn't care about anybody except himself. And yeah, poor Locke. Uh, and that's one of the characters that his first backstory was kind of like the first, like, people sat up and go, oh, when they see that twist that he was in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
That was one of the first, like, big eye-opening episodes, definitely. And he was one of the few actors that I knew before I watched the show, because a lot of the people on the show, I'm like, I wasn't familiar with any of them, but I knew who O'Quinn was. I love the movie The Rocketeer, and he plays Howard Hughes in that movie. And I also watched Alias, and he was on that show,
Okay.
and he was really good. But yeah, Lost is the best thing I've ever seen him in. Amazing, amazing performance. I believe he won an Emmy, I think.
Did Huh.
I know Michael Emerson won at least something. I should have looked that up. But yeah, I love Locke. He's so interesting. There's such an interesting contrast between him and Jack, the man of science, man of faith
Mhm.
thing. And
Yes.
I always love that. And then it's cool that they gave O'Quinn a chance to do something different at the end, where you're thinking it's Locke and then it actually isn't. It's just his body. And so, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't watched the show. Don't watch it. Sorry, I spoiled it if you haven't seen that far. But yeah, he's dead. It's just his body in there. But I do love that moment where Jack is like, you it's something like um you just, I'm not using the right terminology, but you shame his memory by using his face, basically, you know.
Yeah.
Um I think that's in the very last episode or close to it. When they're in that thing with the water, where they have to block it. Do you remember that?
I'm trying to remember.
They're in this,
Was that
it's like this lake thing, and they have to stop the water from coming out.
Oh, that part. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, that was way late. Like you said, almost at the end, right?
It's, if it's not the last episode, it's like the next to last or something like that.
Yeah.
But what do you think about Locke's character?
No, I agree with everything you said. John Locke. One of the things that actually kind of captivate me about him, is I also really like his kind of survival tactics that he
Yeah.
has as well. As pretty cool because, girly nerd, I'm telling you right now, if you put me on an island, I'm not surviving. Okay,
No, me neither.
I'm not surviving. I'm gonna die like in 3 days.
Yeah.
So, and like you said, I really like really just between everybody, but John Locke, the kind of interactions he had with Jack, and Sawyer and everything, like, it's just very interesting. Interesting guy. The actor who played him was great.
Mhm.
Very, very believable performances. And again, like something about him, the way from when he, was in the wheelchair and then now like walking around. What? It's just very, very, very cool stuff. And then also I love too because of the way his survival instincts are. He had that survival like intelligence,
Yes.
if you will, right? And I love that because I don't have that, so I'm like, that's cool. Like I wish
Mhm.
I had that. And that's the thing too here, Girlander, is that a lot of these people here have something unique about them. And for John Locke, that was one of those things. And yeah, you're right. His backstory was really messed up. And I think that also goes to show too that no matter how much in life something hits you, you just have to kind of get up and really do your best. Now, of course, right, like I said, these characters have had been involved in a lot of things, or bad stuff has happened to them, or they put themselves in bad, situations. But this is a case where again, he is making connections with these people on this island, and that's
Mhm.
that's fantastic. So yeah, John Locke, he's great.
He's great. And he's really tough, but I like the moments where you showed him they showed him being like more like tender and sweet. Like
Hmm.
I love when you see what he's making was a cradle for Claire's baby was really sweet. And
Yes,
yeah,
yeah,
that
that
was
was nice.
great. And teaching Walt how to play backgammon, things like that. I really like. Uh so your number 8 is my number 5. It's Charlie.
Charlie, yes. So Charlie, um, if I remember correctly, he had like a drug problem, right?
Yes.
If I remember, yes. So so again, like him number 8, it wasn't really like I liked him the least. I just kind of put his name just in whatever order I was going. But I really like him. Again, he comes from that background where he was in the drug problem, and here's the thing too with drugs. That's a very not home hitting for me, but for people I know for sure.
Mm,
Like a lot of people I grew up around were involved with that stuff. I have a family member or so, like one of them has been dealt with that stuff.
uh,
Someone in a relationship I was with, that kind of thing.
uh,
So it was very much a relatable esque type of situation for there. Um, but again, I love the outcome he had, right?
mhm.
Especially with Claire, he's becoming more responsible. He's growing as a person from what he
Mhm.
was doing before to now being on the island. And he was just what I can remember, he was just a sweet guy.
Yeah.
And I really loved his relationship between him and Claire. Now I'm sure there was some issues, but I can't remember. But from what I do remember, Girly Nerd, I thought he was fantastic. And again, the actor who played him, and I'm sorry, I don't know any of these actors' names.
I remember them. I'll say them.
Okay, yes, yes. Uh, but yeah, no, he was good. And correct me if I'm wrong, was he in a band or no?
In the show, yeah, yeah.
In the show, yes, yes, he was in a band. And again, I think that really points to as well, kind of that band kind of lifestyle that we've all heard about,
Mhm.
especially like back in the '80s, right? You have a band that they're doing drugs and whatnot. Not
Yeah.
really the best type of thing you should be doing to your body. So, yeah, I think that was a really cool, realistic interpretation for what someone goes through, being in
Mhm.
that situation. And then now how he came to the island, with all these other people and he came to who he was. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved Charlie. He was so likable and charming. The
Mhm.
actor's name is Dominic Monaghan.
Okay.
And he was one of the other ones that I knew because he's in the Lord of the Rings. He plays Merry, the Hobbit in Lord of the Rings. So, uh,
Yes.
um, yeah, he's great. I love Charlie. Well, yeah, one he's funny. He but he also had dark moments and moments of vulnerability. I love his relationship with Claire was so
Mhm.
sweet. And it's true. It was a very realistic depiction of addiction and especially
Mhm.
people, in the music industry. Um, I remember, yeah, the backstory is, yeah, he was like the one who wrote all the songs, but his brother all of a sudden started singing lead and then became like the lead singer and kind of took all the glory. And his brother was taking drugs and got him addicted. So, and then the brother cleaned himself up, and then Charlie was still addicted. And it's like you made him that way, and then he wasn't even willing to help him. And because they were going to do like a reunion tour, and he's like, well, I got a good life now. And he's like, but you did this to me. And so I
Mhm.
kind of hated his brother. Um, Charlie had some dark moments that I don't like, which is why I initially had him at 3 and then I bumped him down to 5. Um, he had a few moments where he was like, I feel like it was just honestly, I feel like it was just the writers floundering a little bit with what to do with his character. He was like having these weird hallucinations and dreams. He was worried the baby was in trouble and that he was
Mhm.
sleepwalking, holding the baby, and and then Locke gets mad at him. So he has son kidnapped. They think it's the other. So I'm like, I didn't like any of that.
Yeah.
But go
Oh, so
ahead.
sorry. I was gonna say now, wasn't like John Locke pretty much? He was kind of the he was pretty much the one to take care of the baby when Charlie was like missing or like he wasn't around.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But after that, he turned it around and got better. And I loved his relationship with Mr. Echo. I thought that was really interesting.
Hmm.
And it's interesting because his character is Catholic and I'm Catholic, so I understood all the things he was doing. And then I liked his relationship with Desmond when he's like, Desmond tells him, you're going to die no matter what. I keep trying to save you and I can't. And Charlie's such a great character because I would say he arguably has the most iconic moment in the whole show. I mean, there's two moments in there in the same episode. One is him and one is Jack. And so him, holding up his hand, and it's saying not Penny's boat. I mean, that's probably the most iconic image of the show. I think so. And one of the saddest moments and most iconic moments. Made me cry. It's like it's coming. It's like they keep telling us he's gonna die, and I'm like, well, maybe he won't, um, but I've seen it so many times now because I've watched the show and I watch reactors, and it's like I know it's coming, and I'm still crying so much. I just can't help it. I'm a soft touch, but yeah, I love his character, and I love that episode. I believe it's called Greatest Hits, which is kind of cool because he was a musician, where he's going through his favorite moments of his life, the moments where he was proud of what he did. And it's like, what were some of them? Like when they first heard their song on the radio, when he learned how to swim, when he was a little boy, when he saved a woman from mugging. And that was cool
Yeah.
because it ended up being Nadia, who was the girl that Saeed loved. And so that was a fun connection. And then his number one favorite thing was the night he met Claire. I'm like, that's so sweet. um I love Charlie. I was very attached to. He was one of the people I was like really attached to really quickly. And one of the first moments of the show that like really got to me like emotionally was when so him and Claire got like kidnapped by that Ethan other guy, and he was like strung up on in a tree, and they find him and he wasn't breathing. So, Kate and Jack were trying to revive him, and Jack is like pounding on his chest and Kate's crying. And I remember they cut to commercial without reviving him. And then they cut back and then he comes back. So it's like, oh, how dare you do that to us?
The suspense.
But the suspense, but when he came back, I'm like, oh, thank God. I'm like, they wouldn't kill him this already. But yeah, I love Charlie. And I love the moment in the flash sideways when he remembers and he's crying and everything. And so sweet. Yeah, Charlie's great.
He's great. Absolutely.
Yeah. So my number 8 is, let's see, it's your number 7. So it's really close. Sayid. Okay. Sayid's great.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on Sayid?
Yeah. So actually, even though like he's further down on my list, he probably should be. I probably should put him higher if we're going like in actual order. But
sure.
I really liked Sayid. He was really cool. I loved his military, background of being an interrogator. That was, a torture. That was really cool. And again, I have military ties of family and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But he also kind of like John Locke, he has that survival intelligence because of being military. I love that we can see him putting his skills as a torturer into interrogation to test. And again, it's right. And this is what I'm saying is that he was in the military doing these things, but again, being on the island, he's a human. He's a person with a heart, and we see his past with his relationship of Nadia, and that was amazing. And yeah, I think his dynamic too with Jack and Sawyer, right, and everyone, it's just like sometimes like they get in fights and over dumb stuff, and it's just funny, But again, like as a character, he was just really cool. Just like like, can I say badass? Like, he was cool.
Yeah,
I don't know.
go ahead.
I liked him. Yeah, he was cool. I liked him, and again, that the whole military background allowed him to. I remember that one moment when, I think they were going through part of like the lush like mountains area, and like there was like traps or something, and he was finding them. I can't exactly remember what it was, but he was able to find like booby traps and stuff like that. I was like, that's dope. But again, that comes from his military training and everything. So I love that he was able to use his training and experience on the island to help out the group. So that was cool.
Yeah, Sayid's just he's a cool character, and he's such an interesting character because it's like this neat juxtaposition of like he was like this brutal like torturer, but like the opposite side, he's just like this gentle and soulful person, and he's so gentle with so many of the people that he meets on the island. And especially I loved him with Shannon. It was so tender and so sweet, and even though it was so short-lived, but he made her feel useful and loved, which is something we don't have her on the list. But what's interesting, you think she's going to be just a stereotypical, vapid kind of character, but she was just a product of the way she was raised, and no one really cared about her. And Sayid showed her just this, loving care, which brought out her good side. So it was sweet that in that flash sideways, it wasn't Nadia, it was Shannon that he connected with, and I thought that was kind of beautiful. And it was always interesting when he would use his torture skills.
Good. I'm telling you, like I remember when he was doing it with the fingernails.
With Sawyer,
with Sawyer. Oh man, that, because I was watching that and I was like cringing the entire time how bad that would hurt. Oh man,
I know. And it's funny. It's like I don't remember what episode. It was one of the finales. It might have been the season 2 or season 3 finale. I don't remember. But I think it was season 3. They all had to, Sayid and Jin and Bernard stayed behind to like blow up the tents because all the others were going to come and get them. And they got kidnapped. And then they're on the beach all tied up. And he snaps one of their necks with his legs. like nothing. I mean, he did it so fast. And you're like, whoa, what the heck just happened? And you're like, yeah, it's brutal. But you're like, man, that was cool.
Yeah, it was cool. And that's what I'm saying is that like that, he just does the coolest stuff in that regard. And that tells you, he can hold his own and survive. And him being that brutal torturer, military background, he has those combat skills, which for this situation that you're in is really
great.
It's good to have.
It's very, very useful. Yeah. And his off-island stuff, when he got off the island, that stuff was kind of interesting too. When he kind of started working for Ben, and where I feel like he thought he wasn't like worthy of good things. Like he's like, I've done too many bad things. I don't deserve this. And I think is it Hurley that tells him, you're a good person, you may think you don't deserve all these things, but you do. You're a good person. And I remember liking that. And then, yeah, great performance. The actor's name is Naveen Andrews, and he's great.
Yes, great performance. And again, another actor who really made the character believable, and I was just like, man, this is a cool character. This is a cool dude.
I feel like he doesn't always get as much credit as some of the other characters. And he deserves it.
Oh yeah, 100%. I agree.
Let's see. That's your number 7. Okay, my number 7 is Juliet. He's not on your list. She's not on your list, but another one, the actress, her name's Elizabeth Mitchell. She is really good at doing like really cool, even keeled kind of, she's very soft spoken. So initially she seems kind of creepy and you're like, what the heck is with this woman? And then when you find out about her, you feel sympathy for her, obviously. You go, oh, she's just evil. Oh, no, she's not. She's basically trapped there. And and she was just interesting, and a beautiful performance. I loved her relationship with Sawyer. That was one of my favorites on the show. And her death, it's like a punch to the gut. Just terrible. So I didn't mention this, but so was Saeed's when he sacrificed himself, and he does it without even thinking. That was like that was great. But yeah, Juliet, when Sawyer's grabbing onto her and she falls down, and then she's still alive there, and she has to set off that bomb thing or whatever it was. What was a nuclear bomb? That's rough, man. But yeah, she's also, it's funny. So one of my other favorite shows is Once Upon a Time. And 2 of the writers on Lost are the creators of that show.
Oh, interesting.
They put tons of Lost references in that show, which are really fun. And then they also employed a lot of the Lost actors. So she was someone that came on Once Upon a Time, and she is great on that show as well, because she played a snow queen. She was Elsa and Anna's aunt. So she's like being all cool and collected, and kind of you think she's evil, but then you see she's not so evil. And so it's sort of similar to the way Juliet was. And I wasn't crazy about when they were trying to push like this Juliet, Jack, Kate, Sawyer, like cut, four, there's like square triangle like thing.
Yeah, that was weird.
Like that. But that didn't last very long, thankfully. So that felt kind of forced. Would you agree with that? That was sort of weird.
Yeah, because what you would have happen is that, like these characters, like there would be like a problem, right? And by the way, there's gonna be one character that I have on my list that I really have a like I remember what my issue was with this character, so stay tuned for that. But with the whole these four characters, like something would happen and they'd be going back and forth with one another. And I'm like, what are you guys doing?
I know.
You know, it doesn't make any sense. And it was annoying because I'm like, I'll be really doing this. Like, come
I
on.
know. The show had its moments like that for sure. Yeah,
It did. Now, Juliet. The reason why I don't have her on my list is not because that she wasn't a good character, just because I didn't really gravitate to her as much. And I really couldn't when I was watching the show. I couldn't really figure her out, so to speak. On like, do I like her? Do I not?
Yeah,
So for me, she kind of fell on the more neutral side.
sure.
So that's the only reason why she's not on my list. But it doesn't mean that she wasn't a good character, like
Mhm.
in her own right. I just didn't really have any special connection to her.
Sure. And she had moments where I was mad at her. Like she was helping Sun, but then she said, your wife had an affair, sort of thing. I don't remember if Jin could understand her at that point, but I'm like, Juliet, what are you doing? That's not kind. And
No.
but in the end, I still loved her, and I keep going back to the Flash Sideways because I'm someone who I loved the whole last season. I loved the finale. I thought it was really well done and beautiful, because the characters were what I cared about the most.
Mhm.
So all those character moments were so great. And in the finale, her and Sawyer have one of the sweetest ones when they're at the vending machine and they touch hands, and he's like, well, we should get coffee and we can go Dutch, and it's really beautiful and sweet. And yeah, I love that. So we're on to your number 6. What do you have? Claire. So she's someone that's not on my list. So
yes. So Claire, the reason I have her on there is because she's tied with for me, she's tied with Charlie. So I kind of have him as like a 2-for-1 special deal kind of going on. I just love her. She was just really, again, really kind, really sweet. And I love how she was with the baby and everything.
Yeah.
If I remember right, there was a couple. I think there was a couple dumb things she did that I didn't. I was like, "What are you doing?" And again, there was some characters that did that as well. Like I'm like, "Why are you doing that?" I can't exactly remember what it is, but I remember watching the show, going, "Claire, what are you doing?" And then like some of the weird fights her and Charlie would have was kind of odd. Yeah, but other than that, I also I don't remember. Do you remember what her background was for her?
Yeah. So she had a boyfriend, and they had an unplanned pregnancy, and then he just ditches her like the last moment. So she was worried she couldn't raise the baby, so she was gonna have the baby adopted. And then she goes to a psychic, and he says, no, you have to raise the baby. And she's like, well, why? And then it's implied that he like maybe could see the plane crash. And because he thought she needed to raise the baby, it's like, you have to go on this flight so you can go meet this couple in Los Angeles. And then there was also the thing with she was in a car accident with her mother, and her mother was in a coma. And that woman Jack's father had an affair with, so she was Jack's half sister, which that was a great like revelation. That I'm like, did they ever know that when they were alive? I don't think they did. I think they only found out in the afterlife sideways world that they were brother and sister. Very interesting.
That's some wild stuff. But yeah, I mean, I have her on there just because again, she was just a very sweet lady. I think out of everyone, really, she was probably one of the more how do I put this? Lack for a better term, like normal, like regular people.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't really have anything unique or special. Not that she's not special, but she didn't have any super crazy stuff or anything. She was kind of more like a civilian.
Except when they had her character go crazy.
Yeah, that's true. No, you're right about that. But yeah, I have her on there just because again, I have her as a Charlie and Claire
Yeah. And they were
duo.
so super sweet together.
They were. I loved it. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
I love their relationship, and it's so sweet when they remember together in the flash sideways when she's giving birth. And um I really do like the dynamic Claire had with Kate. I thought that was really nice because this is maybe something you're going to mention with her character. um I like when they decided to stop with the love triangle with Kate, and they made her become a mother to Aaron, and that became the more important part of her character. I thought that was better, and I liked that her whole motivation of going back to the island was to get Claire so she could so she could be a mother to Aaron, even though
yeah.
she loved him so much, like he was her own. So and I love the moment where she's like, I can't be a mom. Look at me, and she's like, it's okay. I don't know what I'm doing. And I love that Claire gets off the island, and it's implied that she gets to raise the baby, and she's okay. And
Yeah.
because that was sad when all of a sudden she's just like gone, and she's like, you're like, what the heck is the matter with her? And when it was like she was kind of like in a trance almost, because of the what do they call him, the man in black, the evil guy that's on the
Yeah.
island. But yeah, she was so sweet. She was just a sweet character.
She was.
And she's one of the ones that was ended up on Once Upon a Time.
Oh, that's cool.
She is Belle on Once Upon a Time, and she's great on there. Yeah, I loved her on that show.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that.
And when it's like you hate her because she looks good as a blonde and she looks good as a brunette. It's like, it's not fair. She looks beautiful no matter what hair color she has.
You're like, no matter what hair color, you still look gorgeous. Why?
Yeah, I know, it's not fair. My number 6 is Jin. I don't think he's not on your list. I love Jin. Well, I have Sun and Jin. Sun and Jin, it's almost like lots of times when I'm listing, I just list them together. But I'm like, well, I'll put them separately. And I put him higher just because I love the arc that his character goes through. So, like in the first few episodes, you kind of don't like him. Like he's so severe and he's being mean to Sun, and you think he's just like the stereotypical controlling guy.
Yeah.
And then you see this backstory and you're like, he was a sweet guy. What the heck happened? And then you understand why he became that way. And then when he feels like he's going to lose her, it's like he becomes his sweet self again. But there's a moment, I don't know if you remember it, when they are all leaving on the raft. It was Jin and Sawyer and Michael and Walt. And she's like, I don't want you to leave, And he's like, I have to do this for us, it's like he feels like he needs to repent for his sins, sort of thing, toward her. And Lost was one of those shows that they did reunions better than any other show I've ever seen, because they always had the slow motion and the music, and it made it all emotional. And Sun and Jin's reunions were always like, oh, they just made you feel so much. And I love the whole thing. He learns English, and he has the whole thing where he was in another time from her, and they were like he was in the 70s while she was in the present day. So it's like, how are they going to finally get together? And in those final moments when they're in the submarine and there's the explosion, and she's like, just leave me. And he's like, I promised I would never leave you. And then it's like Titanic or something there, where they're dying together. It's so sad. But he's a great character. Great performance from that actor, Daniel Day Kim. And he is someone, if you see him now, he is one of those ones that was in that documentary. He has not aged at all. He looks like almost exactly the same. So he's got good genes.
Well, hey, you know what? If they ever reboot Lost, they could just recast him again, the same the same
The
character.
same actor. Yeah, they could. So do you have any thoughts on his character?
Yeah, no, Jin's great. Jin, he would also be a honorable mention as well. But no, you're right. He does have a really good arc, especially compared to some of these other characters. He again because also you have to think too culturally as well. They come from a different
Hmm.
culture, right? That's
Yeah.
not the U.S. And you see what like you mentioned his backstory and kind of what happened, and then when they're on the island, when you first meet them, he's this very standoffish person. You don't like him.
Hmm.
He's like rude, very bossy to Sun, very like macho man of the relationship,
Yeah.
very dominant, and doesn't want to be associated with anybody else.
Hmm.
Doesn't speak English. He's talking crap about other people, and and then it's later, then finally that bond starts to form, that trust starts to build up. That especially with Sun, right? That trust with Sun and not being as overbearing, over controlling on her.
Hmm.
And then he starts to, like you said, learn English, and he's like smiling at everybody else and making those connections and those friendships. And that's amazing. And it really kind of brings a full circle type of deal for him. And yeah, again, we have these characters, Girly Nerd, that go through these things, and then on the island, they're forced to they have to work together. They have to
Hmm.
work together, form these relationships of people from different cultures, races, backgrounds, and again, everyone's different. And this is a big thing with him too, especially again how grounded and how standoffish he was,
Hmm.
rude, you know, controlling of Sun, to now being, you know, smiling,
Yeah.
laughing, joking with everybody else. I mean, come on. I mean, that's an amazing arc to have for a character.
Yeah, I love when that side of him came out finally, like when Claire gave birth and he's hugging Charlie and smiling, or
Hmm.
um oh, I love the when it's Hurley, Charlie, Jin, and Sawyer are all in the Dharma van and they get it going and the music's playing and they're all laughing. That's a fun moment. And it's cool. This is something that Daniel Day Kim mentioned in that um, documentary. He was very proud of the fact that a main character was not only Korean but speaking Korean. I mean, he's mostly just speaks Korean on the show. I mean, he learns English, but to have that as a main character in mainstream television was groundbreaking. So it was made him very proud that he got to do that. And yeah, that's something Lost was really great at. They were one of the first shows that was very, very diverse and
Yeah.
with all the main characters and stuff.
Yes, you're right, and I'm really glad you brought that up because what I love is, nowadays we have this whole thing about, diversity and
Mhm.
inclusion and stuff, right? But what I loved about Lost is they had that, but it didn't feel forced. It
Yeah,
felt
exactly.
very natural, and
Hmm.
that's what made the show great.
Yeah.
Right? Again, you have a bunch of different people, but it wasn't forced. It wasn't pushed onto you. It just the way they wrote this, the way they have the characters, it was just natural. And
Mhm.
besides noticing their backgrounds and whatnot, that wasn't a main like point to you. Was like, hey, look how diverse everyone is. Like
Yes, yes.
that didn't matter. It was like, hey, look at these characters. Look at what they've been through, where they come from, and who they
Mhm.
are, and how they're changing. That's what matters.
Mhm.
And so I thought that was really well done. And so far, even today, right? When you have them trying to replicate that type of thing, but they're doing it backwards, and it's not really working, in my opinion. So Lost, they definitely
Yeah.
got that right.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes it's fine, but I feel like Lost, did it in a natural, organic way where it's just about characters, and it's like, yeah, this is like a melting pot of the world basically on this island. And nowadays I feel like they do it in the other order, like they're checking off a box and then they do the story, whereas as Lost, it's like, well, here's the story, but then they happen to be diverse characters. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. So let's see, we're on to your number 5. It's Echo, Mr. Echo.
Yes. So, Mr. Echo, I just want to say, cool actor, cool dude. I just like, I remember when I was first watching the show, and then you see him coming up to, was it Jack and Sawyer? I don't remember, but they were on the beach, and like they wake up and they see like Mr. Echo and 2 other people that's coming up, and like they knock him out or something. And I remember,
it was Chin and Sawyer, because they were on the raft, and they were on the beach, and they got yeah.
Yes, that's what it was. But then another scene I love with Mr. Echo, because he was just like, he was just an awesome, like, big dude, kind of scary, right? And the actor, I also know he was also in Oz, that prison show.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, I loved him in there as well. But I love with Mr. Echo, he comes face to face with the what was it, the black mist, right? What was it called?
Monster. The smoke monster.
Yes, the smoke monster. And he stares it down. Like, oh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And then it goes away, and you're like, yeah, because he won that, he's got that manly energy, he won. But so I was very sad when spoiler alert, when like it killed him, like,
I know.
like the next time it came. But he was super cool, just like an awesome macho dude to have on the island. And also too, the way he talks is awesome as well. And same for Oz. When he's in Oz, like the way he just speaks is really cool. I like it. Yeah, again, I can't really go into depth with his character. I just, on like a surface face value, he's just a cool dude. I love his energy. Very, very, very masculine energy for sure. I love his accent. Again, way he talks that he has. Super cool. And again, my association with him to the Oz prison show as well, that he was super good in it. Also that I liked. So yeah, awesome. What do you think about him? Is he a favorite of yours, or?
He was one of my honorable mentions. Basically didn't make my list because he wasn't on the show that long. So yeah, I echo Mr. Echo, everything he said about him. I love the way he spoke. Just interesting. It's just his nationality, his accent's beautiful. Very strong, but also kind of like Saeed, also very gentle at the same time. I loved his dynamic with John Locke. That was so interesting and cool, the way they like connected it when they were both in the hatch and they're watching the old films, the Dharma movies. And I loved when he was he built the church and on the beach, and was helping Aaron, Claire's baby, get baptized. And I thought that was very sweet, because he was saying he was a priest. He wasn't a priest, but he said he was, because was it his brother was? Yeah, his brother was a priest, right? I think, if I remember correctly.
I think so. That whole part I don't remember.
His backstory is really interesting. It's him and his brother, and they were those poor kids that are like kidnapped to be soldiers.
Yes, I kind of remember that. Yeah,
and which is just heartbreaking. These poor babies, they didn't ask for that life, and then they were impersonating priests. That's what it was. But he sort of takes on the mantle of what everything a priest does, because he knew the scripture and everything. So then his relationship with Charlie was interesting, too, as well. Mr. Echo was great. I was really sad when his character died. I don't know if you know this, but he wasn't supposed to.
Really?
They had very big plans for his character. which makes sense given all the stuff that happened with him. But the actor, for some reason, didn't like living in Hawaii. I don't know why. Or at least that's the story he gives, that he didn't want to live there anymore. So he asked to be written off the show.
Oh man, that sucks because when he died, I was like, what? Like, there's no way. Like, he's too cool to die. And there's no way.
Well, they didn't want him to die. It was you could blame the actor for that, I guess.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Echo.
I know. It's such a shame. Yeah, he was a great character. Yeah, all the stuff with John when they're in the hatch, when it was like sort of flipped where Echo believed and John lost his faith, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was wrong," and it like exploded or something, right? Oh, they didn't push the button. That's what it was.
Oh, the button.
Yeah, they didn't push the button. And everything started going haywire because of the electro activity. Because that's what crossed the plane when Desmond didn't push it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the button he was supposed to push every so it was a time that it was on. He had to push it a certain time.
It was so many minutes. I forget the number of minutes. I remember the numbers. I had the numbers memorized, but 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. I remember the numbers.
Wow.
I don't remember the minutes that would come back on the counter. I don't remember that, but it's not 8:15. No, that's the flight number. That's the flight number. But yeah, Mr. Echo. Yeah, it's a shame he got written off. And then when he wasn't in the last episode, because I think the actor asked for an astronomical amount of money or something like that to come back, and they're like, nope. So, oh well, because he should have been in there. He should have been in the church with everybody, but because almost everyone was there. I think the only one that you would think, he wasn't there, and some of the other people, who wasn't there, Anna Lucia, and Libby. Oh no, Libby was in the church.
Well, is there a reason why the show couldn't recast the character to?
I guess they just didn't want to. They thought it'd be weird to just have him in one last episode where the people would be going like, well, who's that? Oh, this is not Mr. Echo, sort of thing. That's probably what it was.
That's true. Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. Okay. So my number 5 was Charlie. Then we'd be on to your number 4. You have Hurley.
I have Hurley.
And he's my number 2.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Hurley's just, Hurley's just one of those, big lovable teddy bears.
Yeah.
He's just, again, it's just a sweet dude. I love how he's always trying to be supportive of everybody. Always tries to give like the positive affirmations, the speeches to people, trying to let them know, hey, everything's okay. Hey, like with the who's with the Saeed. Hey, you're a good person. Just doing those type of things and really trying to contribute in any way he can. Because correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't he at some point like he would feel kind of useless to the group or something? I thought that was a thing.
Yeah, and I think he thought he was bad luck.
That's right. Bad luck too.
Because the lottery numbers were everything bad happened to him after he won the lottery, all this bad luck. So yeah, I feel like he thinks kind of worthless sometimes, and when bad things happen, it's his fault basically.
Yes, and that was the thing too. That I think there was a couple of cases where he wouldn't do something because of that reason, and you're like, Hurley, come on, dude. No, that's not the reason. But he lets that superstition get to him, and wasn't one of the things that happened was the house he bought, it got caught on fire or something.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that what happened? Yeah, it burned down. And it's like, okay, that sucks for sure. A brand new house you bought catches on fire. But I do love when he is trying to be, again, positive for everybody else on the team. It just sucks when he kind of was like, being doubtful and going down on himself. It's like, come on, bro.
I know.
Be better. Do for yourself what you're doing for everybody else.
Yeah, poor thing. He had such bad rotten luck. I remember, like, yeah, he won the lottery, but then the house he bought burned down, and his grandpa had a heart attack and I think died. And then he bought the chicken house, the chicken place, and a meteor hit it. And the news anchor died, the woman. What was her name? Trisha Tanaka, because that was the name of an episode. Trisha Tanaka is dead, I think was the name of the episode. Because she was inside the restaurant when the meteor hit.
That's bad luck. I mean, like, you think
That's
it's bad
horrible luck.
struck by lightning? It's bad being
Yeah.
hit by a meteor.
But he was just Hurley is the only character that I was never mad at him ever.
Yeah.
At least
No,
every
I wasn't.
character, there was something I go, oh come on, but not with Hurley. He was always just a sweetheart. Just wanted everyone to like him, and just wanted good things for everybody. And he was so sweet. And I love in the Flash Sideways when he is like, he was one of the first people to remember, I think. So he was like helping everyone else remember who they were, like Charlie and Saeed. And was it anyone else? I don't remember. But he was helping Desmond. I remember that. And Hurley's so sweet. I mean, it was kind of funny when you found out he was in a mental institution, but he wasn't crazy. He was just, like I said, that he thought he was bad luck. And he has one of the funniest parts of the well, he has lots of funny moments, but I like when they're off the island and all of a sudden Ben shows up and he throws like this food at the wall when he sees him. Like, what are you doing here? Yeah,
Hurley's great.
Hurley's great. But it's almost like because he was so sweet, there's less to say because he was just like this even-keeled kind of guy. And I do like that he was going to be the one in charge of the island. And Jack's like, there's no one better, there's no better person than you, Hurley, he has the most pure heart out of everyone. So
yeah, I mean Hurley, or Hurley Curly as I like to call him, because his hair was kind of had that curly look to it.
yeah.
He was never aggressive. He never liked to fight with people or start arguments. Where where pretty much everybody else on this list, they were going to challenge anyone if they thought they were wrong. Hurley, not so much. He would be like, just want to kind of keep that peace, keep the love going, and just push everyone to do better. But yeah, some of these other people, not so much. But
that's okay though. That's what makes him interesting. I loved when he beat Sawyer at ping pong, and as punishment, he made Sawyer be nice to everybody.
Yes.
No more nicknames.
That's right. I remember that.
Like you can't do any nicknames. That's what my terms are basically. That was funny. So okay, we're on to my number 4. Is your number 2? It's Jack.
Okay.
Jack is great. I mean, I would say my top 4 are kind of even, for the most part.
Yeah.
I love them all a lot. So what are your thoughts on Jack? I think Jack doesn't get enough love, and I think he gets a lot of hate for some reason. I don't know why, because I think he's amazing.
Yeah, Jack is, he's that kind of all around, how should I put it? Like all around kind of person, I guess your average person wants to aspire to be, right? I mean, he's, he's a doctor. He is, I would say, as a straight male, he is better than average looking, right? Because he's a doctor, he has money, and so he probably has a pretty good life for himself. And he also is caring for other people as well with him being a doctor. I mean, that's why you go into that field because you want to care for others. So he does have that, caring, nurturing side as
Mhm.
well. But also he also kind of shows that he at least he has like those kind of leadership qualities as well. I mean, he's kind of the go-to, the point of contact person for the group, really. If there's
Mhm.
ever an issue, who's the first person they go to? Jack. Jack for
Yeah.
this, Jack for that. Where's Jack? Hey, Jack? Come here. He's the guy that's always there to lead the pack, basically, to find out what's going on. We want answers, and to basically help them survive. He's the one that everyone looks up to. So,
Mhm.
so that's why I said he's kind of like that person that your typical um person wants to they inspire to be, right? A leader,
Sure.
make good money, be in a high profile profession, and have better than average looks. At least that's just how I would think, right? Um, and so that's why I put him there because, and also again, he's also caring and nurturing and whatnot. Um, so yeah, that's why I have him up there on that list. And when I'm watching the show, I those qualities I mentioned, I do see those. His his relationship with the other people like Sawyer and Hurley and Saeed, it's so interesting because again, how he comes from versus how Sawyer and Saeed how they come from. So how he is, it kind of clashes with the others. But again, as someone who is looked up as the leader basically of the group or the pack, there has to be someone in the chain of command to make decisions, and he's basically that guy. So yeah, it's a very very unique, interesting character, I think.
Yeah, Jack is great. I mean, right away it's like, okay, this is the main character. This is like the
Mhm.
hero. I mean,
Yeah.
in that pilot, he's just running all everywhere, trying to help everybody. And yeah, he's very much that kind of heroic character that you want to be like or want to know or sort of thing. But I like that they made him not like flat. So because he has like moments where he's very stubborn,
Hmm.
and he has very low moments where he becomes like an alcoholic and has very low points when he gets off the island. And um but he's someone he always cares about everyone else more than himself.
Yeah.
And that's yeah, so I love his character for that. He puts everything on his shoulders. He wants to help everybody. He wants to make sure everybody survives. I mean, like when he's leading everyone off the island, and there's that clash with Locke where who doesn't want them to leave, and he's like, I'm gonna make sure I get these people off this island safely, no matter what. And and then in the last episode it's the same sort of thing, where he has to fight not Locke, like fake Locke, where he's like, I'm gonna make sure they can get off the island. And he dies for them. He succumbs to his wounds. I love the symmetry they did with his character, where the first shot of the show was him opening his eye, and the last shot of the show was him closing his eye.
Hmm.
I think that's beautiful. I think Matthew Fox is the actor's name. I had watched him on Party of Five, but I didn't watch it like religiously, so I didn't remember it that well. I remember he was good on that, but on Lost, I mean, like, he's incredible. One
Yeah.
of the best performances on the show, for sure. He didn't get nearly enough praise for his performance, like especially the moments when he breaks down, uh, crying, like when Sun and Jin and Saeed all die in one fell swoop. And he just is like breaking down by himself crying. It's just so sad. I was someone I was never a Kate and Sawyer person. I was a Jack and Kate person.
Me
I
too.
I liked them better together, so
Yeah.
I was happy when that's where it ended. I thought their moment in the final episode was really beautiful when she's like, I missed you so much, and he's still not getting it. And it's just it takes the it it was great because in true Jack form, because he was so stubborn and couldn't let things go. It took him the very last minute to remember and understand what was going on, and he needed his father there, basically.
Yes.
And yeah, I love the how much he clashed with Sawyer. That was really interesting. And then the moments where there was like this camaraderie between them, and so when he goes in the church and he hugs them, I love that.
Yeah, I love that too. That was great.
Yeah, Jack is great, and I don't really understand why he gets like hate. A lot of people don't like his character. I don't really understand that.
I don't get why either. I mean, to me, that's weird because again, like all the stuff I mentioned that you mentioned, yeah, when you see the first episode and watch it, you know right away, okay, this is the main character, this is
Mhm.
the hero of the show. So I don't know what qualities these other people are looking for or why they don't like him. I don't get that. I
I mean,
like
I
him.
guess maybe sometimes his decisions they don't like, but I'm like, but if he does the right thing every single time, wouldn't that be a little bit boring? I don't know. It
Well,
makes it
yeah.
interesting.
Well, it
Uh,
does because also if he makes a wrong decision, that's more realistic because no one's perfect.
mhm.
Yes, he's a
Yeah.
doctor. Yes, he's the hero of the story, but he's not always going to be right. He's a human
No.
just like me, you, Sawyer, her. Like they're all humans and they're all going to make mistakes. And that's why sometimes he does have these fights with even though he's seen as the leader of the pack, he does have these fights with them because like you said
Mhm.
he's stubborn, but some of the
Yeah.
other characters, they have a better plan or a better idea than he does, and they're like, "No, this is going to work," and he's stubborn against that decision. So you have to have that. Otherwise, it's like okay, now like he has plot armor basically. Like
Yeah.
he can do no wrong. And that's not really what you want out of your main character. So I'm glad that they give him some of those I won't say like negative, but more realistic, human choices that he makes and
Yeah.
emotions that he shows because it shows that hey, this is a real life, or this could be a real life thing. This is
Yeah.
what real people do.
His character is well rounded. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
besides the Charlie and Not Penny's boat, the other most iconic moment of the show is him yelling, "We have to go back." I think those are probably the two most memorable moments from the show. And that was another one where you're like thinking the whole time this is a flashback. And then when you find out it was actually the future and that was them off the island, you're like, whoa, oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, that was trippy. I mean, and that was the thing with the show too, because they would have flashbacks, and then they would have
Mhm.
that time skip forward, and then they had the island and like teleporting is you're like,
Yeah.
what is going on? You're-
When they're skipping through time, like what the heck?
I'm like, what?
Oh, this show. Out of context, it sounds so nuts.
But it's awesome though. That's why I love it because when you're watching, you're like, what is going on? And I love when
Yeah.
shows give me that like that curiosity about okay, what's happening, why is it happening, how is it
Yeah.
happening? And
Yeah.
then yeah, it's fun. It's really fun.
Okay, we're up to your number three. And you have Kate. She was one of my honorable mentions.
Yes. So Kate, yeah, like kind of like what we were doing with like Charlie and Claire and Son and Jin, right? She's kind of like a Jack and Kate kind of duo,
Mhm.
but I like Kate. So then again, this is kind of going based off what I remember and how I felt when I'm watching the show.
Mhm.
So younger me when watching the show, one of the first things is this is very like surface level. So younger me is like, oh, she's really pretty. that's
Yeah,
that's one of the reasons.
totally get
One of
it.
the reasons, yeah, as a male, I liked watching because I thought she was attractive. But the other things like that, I did like her backstory. I did like her relationship with Jack. I did not like when she was doing that whole Sawyer business. That
Yeah,
was annoying. And then I will say, Because I kind of look at Kate as kind of like Jack's sidekick, kind of in a way, with with the team, because she was also very helpful and kind of being putting
Yeah.
herself out there and including herself with the group. But okay, so how I alluded to earlier, how there's a character that I know of stuff when that would make me mad about them. She is the one.
Mm,
When she would sometimes just cry and whine and complain, and then when there's something important that has to be done and everyone else is struggling, she's sitting there crying. And I would get mad at the show because I'm like, why are you crying? You right now you are being so useless. Help out your team. Help out Jack or help out who is needing help, and you're just sitting here crying. And like that annoyed me. And what annoys me with shows is when a character is just being completely useless. And
mm,
if you're a character that's useless, I cannot stand you. So in those times in the show, I get it. There are people that are going to be like that. However, in those times, Kate, that like this is not the time to be useless. We need you to act and help and get whatever. What was because I forget exactly what was happening, but I do remember there were points in the show I was getting frustrated with her. So I'm like, stop crying and start helping.
mhm.
Like we don't need you
Yeah,
crying right now.
I don't
But
remember.
that's just me. And especially like some of the fights too. The other one was some of the fights her and Jack would have would be kind of ridiculous as well. I'm like, you guys are really getting fighting over this nonsense. It was yeah. Those were the two things that annoyed me, and same for Jack as well. Again, the fights, some of the fights he had with Kate. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Like, I
But
didn't mind her dynamic with Sawyer, but I didn't want their characters together. Like, when they were, it was like, it's fine, but
yeah,
I didn't like the flip-flop. Like, I
well,
love Sawyer, I love Jack, I love Sawyer, I love Jack, which one? Pick
w-
one.
right, and yes, and that's exactly what I mean is the whole flip flopping between the two. It's like
Yeah.
she'd be mad at Jack and then going to Sawyer,
Yeah,
and
I
then
didn't like
Sawyer does something and then going back to Jack. I'm like, girl, stop hopping around. Just
Yeah.
pick a lane and stick to it.
And the actress didn't like that either. That was one of the things she mentioned on the show. She's like, because initially Kate was going to be the main character.
Oh, interesting.
And because initially they cast Michael Keaton as Jack, and his character was going to die in the pilot. And then they changed their mind. They're like, no, this is not a good idea. And she had never done anything. So she's like, I'm very happy it changed because that would have been too much for my very young shoulders to be the main
Yeah.
character. So you
So
never know if she would do any acting before. She was really good.
so is that why she's kind of like kind of like a main? Well, she's one of the main characters, but she's not like
Yeah.
the main character. But that's why she
Yeah,
kind
I
of feels
think
like she
so.
is.
I think so. Yeah. So they just
Okay.
downgraded her just a smidge, and made Jack the like main one. But she's one of the top characters. She's almost like she's there a lot, and yeah,
Yeah.
she is. If Jack's there, she wants to be there, and I do. Yeah, they had a connection from the pilot, so it's like, of course, this is the one. It's like
Mhm.
that's the one. Like her best self is with Jack, basically. That's what I think. And yeah, I wouldn't like. I don't really remember moments where I felt like she was useless, and crying. I remember moments where she's crying, but they weren't like bad. Like
Yeah, so I can't remember
I don't
exactly
know.
the moments, but I remember I think it was something with Jack. Like Jack was trying to do something or save someone. I don't remember. It was a critical moment, and she was crying about
Oh,
something.
I remember what you're talking about. Yeah. So it was when they were in those cages,
I think so.
and
Yeah.
Kate's in the cage, and Sawyer, they have him out of the cage, and they're gonna kill him. And she's on the walkie-talkie with Jack, and he's like, um, you know, you got to leave without me. And she's like, no, I'm not going to leave without you. And he's like, run, Kate, stop crying, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, and that
It's like, just leave
this,
me.
yeah, this is like just a personal thing. I know everybody
Yeah.
might feel different, but that for that annoys me so much.
It annoyed Jack.
Yeah. Okay. So see, Jack agrees with me.
I mean, it didn't bother me because I can understand. She's like, is this mentality? It's like we can't leave him behind. Basically, I think is what it is because she
Yeah,
loves
I
him.
understand.
But I do. Like I said before, I like when they made her character more about being a mom and caring for Aaron and then helping Claire get home. That I like that about her character. She's another one, and I think she gets too much hate. It's probably because of the triangle thing, and people don't like love triangles and stuff.
Yeah, I noticed in like most TV shows, people don't generally like love triangles because you're
Mhm.
bouncing forth between people, and then she's like, okay, what are we doing? Make your decision. From what I noticed from other shows, the fans usually don't like when characters have love triangles.
I'm not a huge fan of them. It just depends. I don't like it in this case where it felt like she just couldn't make up her mind.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's like make up your mind, pick someone. I mean, obviously, like I like what you said. For me, it's Kate and Jack, like to be together for
Mhm.
sure. You know, so
But I love how caring her character was. I thought it was interesting when you found out why she was um, a prisoner, a criminal. It's like, I don't know. She seems warranted. She killed an abusive man. It's kind of like that movie Chicago. He had it coming, sort of thing. He was horrible, beating up her mother, and he was disgusting. He didn't do anything physically with her, but he would say these nasty, gross things with her. So he was
yeah.
awful. So
And again, another kind of well, no, another real life thing to pull from is that happens, right? You'll see news
mhm,
stories of,
yeah,
you know, a woman, whether it's like a daughter or the mother killing the dad or the stepdad or whatever for doing some horrible thing to the other, but then
mhm,
they get arrested for it. And it's like, why should they get arrested for it? This other person was a piece of crap doing all these
yeah,
horrible things, and you're gonna arrest the person for, should they have done it? I mean, that's a whole debate, but you definitely aren't gonna miss that person now.
mhm,
So, I my opinion is justified, and you you're the person who did the act of like, say killing the abuser, they're just defending themselves,
mhm.
and now the justice system is arresting them, right? Because you kill somebody not supposed to do that's against the law, we know.
But
But
she was defending her mother, and
yeah,
nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. So
I agree. Nothing wrong with
yeah,
that at all.
yeah. So my number three, you have it number one. So it's Sawyer. Yeah, Sawyer's just yeah, he's another one who had such a great arc.
Mm,
Probably the best arc on the whole on the show, I would say. Because like at first, man, I just hated him. He was so mean. It's just like, shut up. Stop being a jerk. What's the matter with you? You're just being a jackass, you know? Um, but then when you learn, I mean, it doesn't justify some of the mean things he says, but when you find out his backstory, and then it's so tragic that he became the man, like the man that destroyed his family, um, and it's like it's like he wants people to hate him, so he does because he hates himself,
yeah.
sort of thing. And so the moments when you see like the good in him come out, I love. I just love that. Like when he talks to Jack about that he figured out that he had talked to his father, and it's giving Jack like closure about his father and that he loved him and stuff because he didn't get to do that before his father died. And his relationship with Juliet and how much he loved her, and what a leader he became when they all got stuck in the 1970s and they had to be in the Dharma Initiative. And he became like one of their main guys, and
Mhm.
I'm like, this is really interesting and cool. I really like this for his character, um, and yeah. It's kind of like with Kate. He's really nice to look at. he's very he's very, very good looking, and they knew that. That's why they would have him with his shirt off so much.
Oh, of course. I know. You always see him on the beach and doing stuff. He's changing in front of Kate, and she's like,
Yeah.
I Googling him.
And he has the cute dimple and stuff, and he has that charm,
He's got the
when it
strong
comes out.
jawline and everything
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
But yeah, no,
he's very handsome.
but you're right though. I mean, Sawyer, because like what you alluded to earlier about, he wanted people to hate him because he hated himself,
Mhm.
and it's that kind of. I think what it is, right, is that he hates himself, so he believes he deserves to be mistreated,
Yeah.
to not have people like him, and and again, that's reflecting of the real world. There are people like that.
Mhm.
They have very uh low self-worth. They don't believe that they should be treated nicely. That's why they get into these, situations or bad relationships because they
Mhm.
value themselves so low. And that's how
Yeah.
he was. And so, then yeah, his back and forth thing with, uh Kate, I didn't really care for that much, but him as a character, I thought the actor did a great job.
Mhm.
Um, and he was funny, like the insults he would give, like the nicknames
That's
that
funny.
Hurley were funny. I to me he was funny in a like a douchey way. I
Yeah.
don't know, like you know what I mean? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
uh, but I do love that towards the end, he very much came around and he would care for people in his own Sawyer way.
Yeah.
Like there how some people are very much nurturing and, very feminine. He wasn't like that, but he would do stuff to care for someone, but in the
Mhm.
most Sawyer way possible. But you knew it was very good intentions from him. He really cared about you, but he showed it different. He expressed it differently, which I liked because it stayed true to kind of how he was. Um, and yeah, I really like his dynamic that he had, with Jack and Saeed
Mhm.
again because the difference of mindsets
Yeah.
and whatnot, and them trying to survive. It was good. The arguments and fights they would have very entertaining, but also very very realistic too. And I think there was even some one point too, right, where Jin is like speaking, like insulting him in Korean, right, to Sawyer,
Yeah.
and Sawyer's getting mad. And it's just it's all great stuff. Like the character interactions between all these characters are just fantastic, and that's what I love about this show. Girly Nerd is they
Mhm.
wrote them in such a way where it was realistic, it was diverse, but it really focused on these character arcs. And like I said, Sawyer had a great character arc as
Yeah.
well. And yeah, no, it was good. Yeah, for me, like the I think the three main stars of the show for me, like the main cast, would be Sawyer, Jack, and Kate as
Yes.
like your
Yeah.
trio.
I agree. Yeah, and yeah, he was very funny. Even when the insults are mean, but I'm laughing at them.
You're right. I know.
I like when he was finding out that as Jin was learning English, he's like, "Wow, look who's hooked on phonics." And then he's teaching him the things to say to Sun, like what is it? It's like, "You were right." Like this is what you have to say to women. You were right. Um those pants don't make you look fat. I don't remember what the other one was. That was funny.
Oh man, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh, and
I
it was
love it.
cute when he was the only one that Aaron would stop crying. Like his voice would make the baby stop crying. So he started reading to the baby. And I think he was just reading like manuals or something like that. It was just the sound of his voice was soothing to the baby. So that's funny.
Oh, I love it. That is awesome.
Yeah, so yeah, Sawyer's great. Josh Holloway is the actor. He's fantastic.
Is,
Um,
is he is he American or
yes, and yeah, he was another one that was on that documentary. And he said initially that they wanted the character to be from Boston.
interesting?
And the very first day he was like trying to do a Boston accent. And the director, J.J. Abrams directed the pilot. And they're like, cut. And he's like, oh God, oh no, I'm gonna be fired. And he's like, Josh, what are you doing? Well, the character's supposed to be from Boston. And he's like, where are you from? I'm from Georgia. Okay, Sawyer's from Georgia, and go. And he's like, thank you, because it was the first time I was able to let go and be free and be like me, sort of thing. And he just gave him so much freedom, and he was like, thank you so much. This is so nice. And yes, Sawyer would be different with that kind of accent, I think.
It would, and I'm sure, like, JJ probably saw that and was like, that doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stop right here.
So, okay, your number 2 was Jack, and my number 2 was Hurley, and then your number 1 Sawyer. Okay, we just have one character left.
Ooh, all right. Who is it? Who is it?
My number 1, and I have Desmond.
Desmond. Yes.
Yeah. And it's funny that I put him at number 1, considering he wasn't there from the beginning. But I don't know. There's just he's such an interesting, fascinating character. And I mean, like, one of the big things of the season 1 finale is like, what the heck is in this hatch?
Yeah.
And then season 2 opens with him in there, and you're like watching it going, is this the hatch?
Mm-hmm.
This is so nuts. And then you learn about his character and that he'd been there all that time pushing this damn button. And
then like he's riding that bicycle.
He was riding the bicycle, listening to the music. And well, the actor is great. His name's Henry Ian Cusack. He's fantastic. And yeah, again, for me, very handsome. And then he has the cute British accent, which I love. I have a thing for the Brits, but his character was so interesting because he had that whole like time travel consciousness thing. That was so cool.
Yeah.
That was so neat, the way they did that. And because of that, they gave him some of the best episodes, were some of those episodes where he was like time traveling in his mind. I mean, talk about like unique and cool. The episode where his consciousness keeps going back and forth between like the past and the present, and he needs to find his constant, which a lot of people, their favorite episode is The Constant. I think that's probably my second favorite, but it's an amazing episode. So unique, and has that beautiful through line where he's trying to find Penny, because Penny means more to him than anything. And that moment when he talks to her on the phone, and that's another one of the iconic moments from the show, is them talking to each other and saying, I love you. So well done. So beautiful. I loved his dynamic with Charlie, when he's trying to save him. And then it's interesting in the flash shot sideways when he's remembering who he is and wants everyone else to remember that. I love that they did that for his character. That was so cool. I love his saying, see you in another life, brother. That's one of the most iconic lines from the show, for sure. It's just, his character was just so interesting backstory, how he fell in love with Penny, and then he was living with monks, and then he was sailing around the world. I mean, it's just all over the place, and just trying to be worthy of her because her stupid father is so mean. Like, you don't deserve her. And I'm like, who are you to tell him he's not good enough for her? It's up to her. Stupid Charles Widmore. Noticeably not on our list because he was an ass.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And there's a good point you brought up too, was like the whole being worthy thing. If you look at a lot of the characters, now I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them do have that problem, of being worthy or worth something, right? Like, they all kind of value themselves at a low point,
Yeah.
and that's kind of dictated how their life really has been, and then how they treat themselves, treat others. And it's very fascinating because that's a real life problem a lot of people have. And with Desmond too, and here's the I love like sci-fi and time travel and consciousness and all that stuff. So that part of it with Desmond really fascinated me because I was like,
Mhm.
what the heck? And there's that one episode where he's like time traveling to like the city and then
Yeah.
coming back to the hash, and I'm like, what is going on? This is really cool. Um, yeah, and then just seeing that he was down there that entire time, because
I
the hatch
know.
was like this whole mystery thing. Like, what is
Yeah.
this? It's in the middle of the jungle or the forest. And you're like, what's this thing doing here? And he's just pressing this button, riding on his bike, and he's eating food. And then it's like a one bedroom apartment, basically,
Yeah.
almost size,
Mhm.
or like a studio, and then he has to press his button, and then wasn't the button to prevent like what was it, like a blow up or something?
Yeah, so they showed that they in the when they are in like the 1970s, when you see them building the hatch, they
Mhm.
hit like a pocket of electromagnetic activity, and it has to be contained because it causes all these problems. So they contained it in the hatch, but they, for some reason, if he has to push the button to contain it, is what it was. And when he leaves the hatch, and there was that other guy that was down there with him, and he accidentally kills him.
Oh yeah.
And he runs back, and he realizes he hadn't pushed the button, and that's what crashed the plane. And then he pushes it, and then it goes back to normal, but the damage is done basically. He realizes when he realizes, he's like, I think I crashed your plane. Like, oh, sorry. He didn't mean to.
Whoops.
But poor guy. I mean, he was like basically he was like prisoner almost in there. Um, because
Yeah.
he thought it was like quarantined, like he thought he couldn't go out side, that there was like a sickness, I think, which
Yeah.
wasn't true, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't the inside of the hatch, was it the inside or outside the hatch that it said quarantine on it or something?
Mhm. It did,
Yeah.
yeah.
It did, yeah. So it's the whole time he believed he couldn't go out. He was like stuck there basically. And like really think about it, right? Like what kind of life is that to live? You're stuck inside,
I
not
know.
you believe you can't go anywhere. You have to press a stupid button, for your entire life. I mean, that's not really a fun life to live.
No. That's why with the moment when he turns the, I think it's called a fail safe. He turns this key and blows up the hatch. He doesn't know what's gonna happen, but it's just like, well, if I die, I die, but maybe this will set things right, and
Mhm.
then he could be with Penny. And yeah, in that moment he's imagining, uh I think it was a letter that she wrote to him. He finds that was in a book. He didn't know it was in there, and then he reads it, and she was saying how much she loved him and everything. So I might be remembering that wrong, but I think that's what it was. Yeah, Desmond's like, yeah, has some of the best episodes. Such a great, cool character. Even if it's not on your list, I know. Yeah, Kate wasn't on my list, so but I still love her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the thing is like that this list, like it's to really go through and pick like who can be on my top 10. It's like I for sure have the first like I don't know, it's hard because a lot of the characters were just really good in their own right. So
hmm
it's like who do you really pick? So at that point, it just kind of becomes like your bias, really, of who you
yeah.
like more, who you like less.
I mean, but there's characters I liked that I didn't mention. Like I loved Rose and Bernard. They were super sweet,
Mhm.
and I liked Libby, and I some other characters, like sometimes like even I liked Michael. Sometimes he bugged me, but I liked him in the end. I kind of felt
Yeah.
sorry for his character a lot, uh but yeah, great show. If you at I know it's hard, maybe it's hard for you because you don't remember the show as well as me, but off the top of your head, if you had to pick, like, do you have like a favorite moment from the show or anything like that?
Hmm. My favorite moments. Um,
Or favorite episode, just like something that just always really stuck with you?
I would say probably a couple key moments. Just because I thought it was so interesting, like weird or fascinating. It's really more so with the island itself. The one
Mhm.
is when the island you see it like teleport when it
Yeah.
travels. The other one is when they find that polar bear that
Yeah.
is like charging at them. I was like, what the heck? What is going on here? And then the other one was when we first kind of meet Ben, or we kind of see Ben when he's seeing the
Mhm.
plane uh
Oh,
flying
yeah.
over.
Yeah, when it
When
shows the other side of the other island. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Where
like,
all
oh,
they're living. Yeah.
yes, yes, that was interesting. And why those specific moments, I don't know, but I thought those were like really standout moments to me because it's just like it's like a different perspective than being with the characters. You have that more outside perspective, and then with Ben seeing that
Mhm.
happen, you're seeing what happened to your characters from a different angle now from someone
Yeah.
else. And it's like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." But, I mean, there was just so much stuff in the show that was this was great. I do love that the show is at the end, like I said, most of the episodes always had something happening, like, boom,
Mhm.
like that lost
Yeah.
sound, the logo,
Oh,
boom, they're like,
the boom.
you're like, "What's going on? What's gonna happen next?" Just always something cool and interesting. But actually, I want to ask you, Girl, after you give your top moments, there was a question I
Okay.
wanna ask you about the ending, but I'll let you give your top moments first,
Okay.
though.
Well, I mentioned some of them, like Charlie, sacrificing himself, and Jack, saying we have to go back, those were just like whoa, sort of moments. The finales were always great, the one where they decide they have to um destroy that bomb, and they throw it down the thing, and Juliet has to detonate it. Just so many things are going on in that moment. Like they're fighting off the people, and then there's other people are getting killed because everything's, because of the magnetism, like there was like one of the guys I think got spiked to death. I mean, it's just like, oh my God. And Juliet got pulled down into the like the hole or whatever it was. And then just sweet moments, all the reunions. I said all the reunions that were slow motion with this pretty music. I love that's something I didn't mention. I think the score, it's Michael Giacchino. Beautiful,
Oh.
beautiful music.
Mhm.
Some of the best work he's ever done. I was laughing with my mom the other day because she's the person I watched the show with. So um, I loved that when they would go to a commercial break, they would do that trombone like "Wah," sort of thing constantly. And they would do it over and over again, but it's like that's the sound of loss. That's what it sounded like. That and that boom thing you were talking about, when a show episode would end.
Yes.
Uh, but yeah, lots of moments. So what's your question?
Yes, so ever since like, when I finished the show, and ever since then, I've been looking online, on Reddit and other things and YouTube. So the lore for, like, let's say, the the island, or like the finale, right?
Mhm,
Is from your perspective, okay, what actually happened in the finale? Because there's been a lot of debate about this, and like, okay, they're all dead, right? But at towards the end of that episode, do we s- is it when Jack is like laying on the ground, is he dying when that dog is like by him over there?
yes.
Were they all dead in the first place already? Were they alive? Then
No.
they died. So what is really happening here, right?
Yeah,
So
I
that's
I
my
have a
question
very
to
I have
you.
a good understanding of what's going on, and I've seen, someone, explain it too, but I understood it when I watch, especially when you watch it multiple times.
Mhm.
Um, so the finale is, like, one of the most divisive finales ever, and a lot of people, like, hate it, and I didn't. I loved it. It's one of my favorite finales ever.
Mm.
I think people tend to be like in two camps. It's like, what did you love and care about most in the show? Did you care about the characters the most, or did you care about the mystery? Like, if you cared about the mystery more, maybe you wouldn't like the finale, even though still they answered almost everything. Very few things were left unanswered. All the important things were answered. You just had to pay attention. And there's this misconception that they were dead the whole time. It's like, oh, that was so stupid. They were just dead the whole time. They were not dead the whole time.
Right.
Everything that happened on the island happened. They were alive. In the Flash, I call it the Flash Sideways, this other place. They're dead. Everyone's dead there. It's like this in between the living and like heaven, basically. And it's Christian, Jack's father, says it's like this place you all sort of like spiritually, metaphysically created so you could all find each other before you moved on to heaven together. So, and it's a place where they could right their wrongs, be who they should have been in life. Like it's interesting, like Sawyer's a police officer. Like, if I had been a better person, this is who I would have been. Ben isn't evil. He's taking care of his father, and he's a teacher, and he's friends with Locke. He's not enemies with Locke. And it's like this. And Jack, it's interesting that Jack has a son, because when Locke's like, you don't have a son, Jack. And I didn't understand at first. It's like, why is this little boy here? And I saw, was it one of the creators? Someone explained it. And I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. It was him like reconciling his problems he had with his own father, being a good father himself to this like make-believe child, helped him, come to terms with his strained relationship with his own father. And so when his own father shows up, he there's no anger anymore. And, he embraces him and everything. And that's why his father is there to help them all move on. So, the important thing for the show for me was all these characters and all the relationships they formed. That's why I love the finale, and I love all the moments when each of them remembers. It's beautifully done, and with the score, and when they're all in the church hugging and smiling, and then they all move on. And so him closing his eyes, that's him. He died, and then went there, basically, to this place. So some people died, some people died, a long time ago. Some people died, 2 seconds ago or something. There's no rhyme or reason in time in this other place. It doesn't really have like a linear sort of thing. So that's what it is. So I feel like when you understand it better, you might like it better if you didn't like it previously. Some people might not. They might still hate it because they go, well, they didn't answer this and this and this, and so I therefore will hate it. But that's not my perspective at all. Does that help you understand it?
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, for me, I also like the finale as well, mostly because although I do love mystery, and I do. I mean, part of that's why I like Lost, because I love the mystery, but also I love the characters. And when I saw pretty much all the main characters that were with each other at towards the end, I was really happy, because I was like, yes, they're all together. They're all gonna move on together, and that was great, because they all had to form such a bond with each other, and like you said, right, righting the wrongs, being the kind of person they should have been in the first place.
Yeah.
And now they are, and now they're all at peace now, and they can all go together. And Jack is with Kate, and Sawyer's with Juliet, and everyone's with who they're meant to be with, right? So that was all really beautiful stuff. But that comes into question though with Michael and Waltz. What happened?
Yeah.
What did they survive?
No, Walt is alive.
What's the life?
It's
Yeah.
probably because he got off the island so young and then lived his life. It wouldn't really make sense for him to be there because
Yeah.
it was such a short time. But poor Michael, they explained why he wasn't there. It was because he did really bad things.
Yeah.
He was sort of stuck on the island. So they finally explained all the whispering were people that are stuck on the island. They can't really move on, and he's one of them.
Oh man. So
Yeah.
it's pretty much like when souls or like ghosts basically like you're
Mhm.
stuck in their earthly trapments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is pretty sad for his character, but it's like you understand why he did what he did, but it was murder, he murdered these innocent women. So
Yeah.
it's why he's stuck there, which is kind of sad. I mean, part of me kind of wishes they could have some sort of like epilogue where he somehow could move on too, but
Mhm. Yeah.
but it's just that I make that up in my mind. I don't have to see it. I'm making it up in my mind. Like, oh, Hurley, when he took Hurley and Ben helped Michael move on somehow or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be
Because
cool.
Hurley can see dead people, so it was Hurley that saw him, and he's like, what are you doing here? And that's when they finally explained what the whispering was. So yeah, honestly, I can't think of many things that they didn't explain. And if they didn't, it probably wasn't that important. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I loved all the mystery stuff, and they explained most of it. Maybe what the issue people have is they didn't like the explanation. They didn't
Yeah,
like
that
what it
could
was.
be it too.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
I don't know.
I don't know.
But I know, like I said, I'm a soft touch. So, of course, the last episode, I'm basically bawling, crying, watching it. Even though I've seen it multiple times, I'm watching people react to it. I'm crying. I'm also kind of a sympathetic crier, so I'm crying when they're crying, and uh,
Yeah.
it's
I mean
beautifully done.
I think for the ending, if I were to change it, I would change it to where they all got off the island and still got to live.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So, because here's the
sure.
thing, it's nice that they're all together, like dead, but they're all dead. I mean,
Yeah.
I would have liked to see them all got off the island and still be able to live their lives as new people now, and still got to live
Mhm.
and continue on.
Well, there wasn't many people left.
Yeah.
A lot of them had died already. Um, I'm trying to think. The only one that could have gotten off the island that didn't was Jack, and was that it? Well, Hurley and Ben, but they were on the island, but they could leave. I mean, they
Yeah.
those the rules were like um not real. Those rules that Jacob had. I remember Hurley saying that, well, we can't leave the island, and Ben's like, that was Jacob. You can do whatever the heck you want. You can protect it, but you don't have to be here all the time, sort of thing. So um yeah, I think it's everyone else got off, and I think everyone else was already dead. So I think I don't remember. I remember pretty well. Who got off the island? Kate, Sawyer, Claire, um, Richard, Miles.
Did
Uh,
Charlie get off?
no, he died. He drowned in the third season. He sacrificed himself. Uh, he's just in the other world already. And then the pilot, whatever
Mm,
his name was. That's who lived. Everyone else was dead. So it's sad how many people
yeah.
died.
I
The
know.
show
It's
kind
like
of a little bit because the show was kind of about death in a way, and
it was.
yeah, coming to grips with it. But
Yeah, and that's the other cool thing too with Jack Wright is that he's a doctor. And I mean in Western society and modern medicine, the belief from a lot of the schooling and being taught for medicine is that, there's death, and that's it.
Yeah.
So it's, Jack as a doctor is very much wanting to save people. Of course, out of his nature, but doctor, save you. Once you're dead, you're dead. That's it. And I
Mhm,
like that this touches into the like the kind of spiritual realm, the afterlife subject.
mhm,
It's nice, because I've always been interested in that topic. So because it touches on that, it really interests me as well, along with the other time travel stuff and the
mhm.
consciousness stuff. Yeah, really cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved everything, every aspect of the show I liked. So, well, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope everyone enjoyed listening or watching. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel. Everyone go subscribe to Mr. Weba's channel. I will put a link to that in the description below. But thank you for being my guest. This was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed being my guest.
Of course, Girly Nerd. And again, thank you so much for having me on. This was great. And yeah, like I said, it's been a long time since I've seen the show, but it's an awesome show. It's probably still one of the best shows, really, because it does have so
Mhm.
much suspense, great characters. And I'll tell you this, it's really hard for a show now to have such a big cast of characters, but a
Yeah,
lot of them are to be really good. Along with the
it's true.
story and the mystery, touching on the death and spiritual stuff. So this show it compacts a lot of different subjects and diverse, right? It's very diverse.
Mhm.
So it's great. And again, thank you so much for having me on to talk about this. Yeah, this was really fun. Thank you so much.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you. So I hope everyone has a beautiful, beautiful day and stay nerdy. Bye.